Good morning, everyone. This is Sahar, and you're watching Rethink with Sahar. This is a place where we rethink ideas, we rethink things, and try to look at everything in a new light. Today, we have among us William Vlach. He is a writer, he's a psychologist, and he has written this beautiful book called The Naked Greek. And the name is so philosophical, it's so historical, and it's fiction. Wow,
Mm.
beautiful. How were you able to? Hello, you're welcome, sir. And
Hi, and thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
you know, and how were you able to combine all these things together? The philosophy, the history, the fiction, the psychology, everything. How did?
So it became an issue of, for me, internally psychological, a way to
Mhm.
express my understanding both of philosophy, of psychology, and of my personal life. The personal life was the spark that really got it going. This is fictionalized. However, I am
Mhm.
adopted, and I
Wow.
always knew I was adopted, and but
Mhm.
did not know who the family was that I was adopted from. And I heard
Okay.
little things here and there, maybe this, maybe that. And this story is based on the idea of as my first child was born, for the first time I saw someone who had a similar physical face as my own. And I
Mhm.
went, "Oh my God, I don't see anybody else in my life. I love my adoptive family. I love my wife. I love my friends, but this was a physical connection, which also brought up
Yes.
some spiritual stuff. So my
Exactly.
course of I need to find this family took me years and years and years. And this book is a culmination of that, of trying to
Oh wow.
understand myself, my authenticity, understand my adoptive family, understand my Greek family, and because I knew nothing about Greek history, Greek philosophy, knew very little about Greek philosophy, then I will let me go find out about Greek history. And the book is a weave of these different threads. The person's
Beautiful.
life, the person's life, Greek history, Greek philosophy, and psychology.
Psychology.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
And
that was the
so,
plan.
wow. And what fascinates me is you're using the word finding my authenticity and finding my roots, right? The way you said finding the authentic self. So, where does this authenticity, the thought of authenticity, actually came from? You knew from the very beginning that you were an adopted child.
Yeah.
So, actually, uh, m- uh, my point of interest here is like, what made you think this thing that you could put your quest, your inner quest, in form of a fictional work, book?
Yeah. I think part of it because there was this. I think we all have a quest for authenticity. I think
Exactly.
every human wants that, wants to be very real, wants to understand themselves and the world they live in. Um, and we all get involved in the world. I've got to make a little money here. I've got to deal with this crisis, that crisis. But that core of who am I really? Who are we really? That for me, that came out in the adoption issue. So that
Wow.
I'm adopted, but also there's this biological family, this cultural history I don't know, and then that drive to find out. And then to answer your question, the book was a way to understand this guy. It was a way to understand what I understood.
Mm-hmm.
I understand it, but I don't have it
Beautiful put.
in language. I don't have it where I can see it. I understand it internally. And then part of that is to really understand oneself, one has to share. So that's what
Yeah.
this was about.
One of my friends, he always says that everybody has an idea, everybody has a feeling, everybody has a thought, but it's only with their own understanding that they complete the story. They get a
I
few
love it.
lines to you know a cue to start with, but what the story actually is, they completed themselves. So
Hmm.
it's like. you took the turn towards philosophy, towards history, towards the real thing. And you are a psychologist. And how did you find psychology to be different from learning about philosophy and doing philosophy and doing psychology? How was it different?
That's so good. And there are connections. Psychology for me is a lot of going inside and understanding. I also really appreciate neuropsychology and how we work neurologically. And then philosophy is the bigger picture, is the
Exactly.
narrative, is the narrative. And
Hmm.
if you don't look at that, you live lost. You live trying to find what's going on. But if there is a narrative that you've thought through that fits you authentically and fits your understanding of the world, then there's some kind of play you have going forward.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. Give me a second.
Yeah,
I'm looking at something. Yeah. So it's philosophy, yes. When, like, it is not a very beautiful way of putting it, the way I'm going to put it, but that's how it's introduced by someone to philosophy. Like, when you're cleaning something, you gather everything. All the subjects have gathered their own things. You
yeah.
put this thing into this cabinet, this into this closet, and whatever is rest left, the rest is taken away by philosophy. It
Mm,
still carries
mm,
it.
nice.
So
Got it.
it's like a bigger picture. Yes, psychology is big enough about the human mind, but it is also, philosophy is about human life, not only human life but life itself.
Life itself.
So how, when you were reading the philosophy and relating these three things, what did you, what fascinated you the most? Like, fascinated in the sense about the human condition, and
That's
about
very
the
good.
way these philosophers initially asked those questions. So they asked, like, what, who am I, or what is life, or why the world is here, the very basic questions for the first time. So what was your fascination about all these
So
things?
that's really good because it fits with the internals, the narratives, my own personal narrative, and connecting to the larger picture, the philosophy,
Mm-hmm.
which for me became um, that each of these philosophers at some
Mm-hmm.
point had to disobey.
Yes.
And in my experience, I had to disobey. And I can
Mm-hmm.
read a little bit of the first section of this book to tell you how it worked. But the
Sure.
idea of in so individually in the state of California, which is where I live, you're not supposed to have adoption records. You're not supposed to know. It's illegal to know who your mother is. It is illegal to
Wow.
know who your father is. Now, I
Oh.
understand that protects the mother, whatever she was going through, and protects the father. But for my
Mm-hmm.
identity, for the adoptee's identity, and also for all of us in some way, we need to know who those people, our roots, we need to know who they are.
Exactly.
But we're told not to. So I think a lot of philosophy starts with disobedience. That's a little bit of a radical
Yes.
notion, but disobedience. Like, I do not accept the world as I am told that it is. I want to
Yes.
look at it another way. And
Beautiful.
so from disobedience opens up all kinds of things, all kinds of understandings, both outside and inside.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Your use of word disobedience is very important because, uh, yes, we think, like, we need to think. We, the world wants us to follow, and we want to think. So in that way, we, when we're thinking, we are not following. Think or swim. We are either swimming or we can think. And when we
Hmm.
start to think, as Albert Camus says, beginning to think is beginning to be undermined. And
Hmm.
then he says there is rebellion, and that resonates with your word, the disobedience. So it's all about your inner question, your feeling of, like, who I am to the core, not my outer body, not my
Yes.
name, right? So something deep within. So, just by the way, if you feel comfortable, were you able to find out about your roots?
Yes, I could do that. Okay, so after I saw my daughter and I saw the connection, the
Uh
face,
huh. Uh
I
huh.
went searching. I did everything I could for years and years trying to find out. Um, and it was very difficult and very painful, but that's part of the
Wow.
process. I don't think we can really understand who we are without going through this uh,
Exactly. It's like
psychological
yeah,
psychological
rebirthing.
birthing
Yeah,
psychological birthing process.
exactly.
And so when I finally found my biological father, who completely
Oh,
denied who I was, and I'd done
oh
all
my.
this research. Um, I'll just tell you, I did all this research, and I found him, and
Mm-hmm.
in his bill is at an office down the way here, and I could
Mm-hmm.
see the look on his face, his eyes, his nose, his hair were just like mine, or I
Wow.
was just like him. This part
Mm-hmm.
of his face was different. And I
Mm-hmm.
sat there and I explained to him, here's the research. I did all this. I did this. And he said,
Mm-hmm.
no, no, my son, no. So I told him some more. He says, no, no, son, no. And I gave him more history. And he said, no, son. He said it 3 times. No,
Wow.
son. So
No and
psychological.
sun.
So unconsciously, he was saying yes. I could see
Yes.
that. But if he said no, he said no. So I pulled back, and actually, as I left the building, I went into the restroom to try and recover myself, and I was just completely dissociated. I was just felt like there's no top, there's no bottom. I was swirling. Who am I? I was completely lost. And the music,
Uh-huh.
Full on the Hill by the Beatles.
Wow.
So I was like, okay.
Wow.
And then I pulled back. After a few days, I said, I've got to try and call back. I called back on the phone, didn't see him, and he just yelled at me, "Do not call back."
Wow.
So then I pulled back again. I had my family, had my work as a psychologist, focused on that, but over the years would try little things here and there, a little here and there. Then, 30 years later, 30 years later,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I Narita, my wife, finds his obituary.
Oh.
And his obituary, there's a wake. The Greeks call it trasagion near the
Mm-hmm.
house where I live. And she said, "We really
Mm-hmm.
have to go." I said, "Oh, I don't know
Oh,
if I can. It's so damaging."
exactly.
But
It is.
there's a truth there. So she and my daughter said, "Oh no, we need to go. We need to go." So we went
Mm-hmm.
the wake,
Mm-hmm.
and there were family everywhere. It's a large Greek family. There was family everywhere.
Wow.
Some of which, and then in the front row, it's so emotional. Years ago, in the
Yes.
front row was his older sister, who I thought had died. She was at this point 90.
Mm-hmm.
My brother,
Mm-hmm.
his wife, his family, my sister, and my other. The family was there. They didn't know who
Okay.
I was. They didn't know who I was.
Uh-huh.
They didn't know I existed. And in the center, right in the center of the church, was the casket, and it's wood casket with Greek Orthodox, the light coming down, different colors, but it was just there. And so
Mm-hmm.
they do the wake, and then the man in the back says, "Now it's time to come up and greet the family." Now,
Mm-hmm.
I did not decide at that point what to do. I was still in shell
Uh-huh.
shock because this is my family, but this is a funeral. You don't want to hurt them. I didn't want to hurt them.
Exactly.
So, and I hadn't coordinated it with my wife and my daughter, but I said, I have to do this.
Mm-hmm.
So I stood up when they brought us, I stood up and walked down the aisle and faced the coffin. without this, I decided I'm not going to decide what to do. This is not going to be a rational decision. This is going to be intuitive and spiritual.
Hmm.
So I stood and just looked at the coffin. I looked at the man inside the coffin, and
Mm-hmm.
in my heart, I said, I forgive you.
Yeah.
Then I greeted each member of the family without saying who I was.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry for your loss. Sorry for your loss. And then I saw my aunt who looked at me and had this look on her face of absolute recognition. She knew.
Wow.
She knew. And I knew. It was one of those
Wow.
moments of just beyond.
Communication, the words,
It was just there. It was
it was
not.
just there.
It was just
Yeah.
there, and it was whether it's intuitive or it was spiritual or it was some deep DNA connection. I have no idea, but we both
Mm-hmm.
knew. We both knew. Then afterwards, I talked to her, and she was still struggling because she had just lost her husband. And so I
Mm-hmm.
really did not want to hurt her in all this process. But
Mm-hmm.
so I talked to her afterwards briefly, and I said, "Could we talk?" She said, "Oh yeah, let's get together," and that started the process.
Wow. That's deeply emotional. I got carried away myself. Like,
I'm still.
oh my God, I was so lost in your words. Oh, that's really emotional.
It
Wow.
was very powerful.
Very deep,
I,
very
and then
powerful.
and then I decided after some time after I it's a story that part of that story had to come into the book, but I decided to write that, and I could say to you if it's all right with you what the fictionalized version of that was, meaning I told you the external stuff and a little bit of the emotions, but there was another process, and that's the first 2 pages of the book. I could read that.
Sure,
Okay, it's the prologue. Tresanjian.
let's go. Let's
Now
go.
this is the internal experience of the character in the book, but we also know,
Mhm.
kind of
That's
me.
you.
Okay,
Okay.
Tresanjian,
Mm-hmm.
you, holy God, holy mighty, holy immortal, have mercy on us. The priest is saying this. Then the
Mm-hmm.
character is saying, you, my father, are in that box. The dark wood lid hides your body. You, John Papulius, are hiding from me again. Light cascades
Mm-hmm.
down from the mosaic stained glass dome. Red, purple, green, and blue press on the black casket. I smell
Mm-hmm.
candle smoke and woody incense. I see dark suits and dresses, people sitting in pews and observing. These people, they do not know me. I am invisible. Until now, invisible to myself.
Wow.
After the Greek prayers, the homily, and your goodness as a father, your work as a writer and editor, a tall man gestures for us to pay our respects to the family sitting in the front row. I walk down towards the coffin. Your coffin sits on a platform. I stop. Have I stolen your face? You have not given me permission, legitimacy. That is your power. Yet what of my own hidden face? But John, Father, as I stand here, I know you. Back to the origin, I know you, and I accuse you. My own story indicts you. My anger, mockery, and perhaps pity will indict you and your Greekness. And free
Wow.
me. I stand in the aisle below the coffin, consumed. I am your denied bastard. I want to forgive. I want to flip the coffin over and watch your body crash to the floor. Behind me, others stand in line. They wait. I stand, stare at your coffin, and feel my bastardness, my shame, my fear. I lean
Hmm.
forward and hold up my hand to your wood coffin. I expect a cold, rough texture. I am wrong. It is warm, hard, solid, smooth to the touch. Something
Hmm.
emanates from it. Death? The feeling of dread? The emptiness I felt kneeling at my own father's deathbed? It takes me over, swamps me. My fingers spread out across your casket. The fragment of time touches, merges the plural historical you, and many Greek fathers whom I welcome, laugh, and accuse, with the singular me, shaped by a
Mhm.
disconnected and rejected past. These
Wow.
legacies, these legacies intertwine like DNA strands, converging in that act of touching your coffin. In this eternal now, I was torn away from you and this family, adopted away. Who are you? Who were you? And ultimately, who am I? I will disobey. I will return to a place I have never been.
Wow. Hmm.
That's how we got here.
Wow. Beautiful. It's so deep. It's so deep and it's so, well, you get lost in it. That's the beauty of the writing that you have,
Mm,
you know. And I am, who am I often ask myself. Not that I am adopted,
yeah,
but I feel like alienated from the world,
yeah.
from everywhere, disconnected, and I have been disobedient to that, the way you put it. And, but I'm not a philosopher, though I do have some degrees in philosophy.
Right.
But being a philosopher is a big thing. It's not easy. So, who I am, you were able to go to your biological roots, but spiritually, not even spiritually, in a bigger way, like existentially.
Hmm.
So, the when you said you went to the restroom to recollect yourself, right?
Right.
So, that existential moment,
Oh,
how
that's
was
very good.
that? How
That's
was
very
that?
good.
How
That's
did you
very
face
good.
it?
That's really good. That existential
Thank you.
moment. That moment of that's very good.
Facing the, yeah.
Because if one disobeys everything, I mean, you go
Hmm.
back to I'm both the Judeo-Christian and the Greek side. On the Greek side, you have Prometheus, who disobeys Zeus, who brings fire to humans, and he
Yes.
is cast on a rock, and just the eagles eat at his guts. That's disobedience. But he brings fire. He brings knowledge. Um, Abraham and Isaac. Abraham is told, "You must kill your son." Oh my
Hmm.
God, that's the worst thing on earth. And
Exactly.
so the idea of taking the order and then disobeying comes with a cost. The cost for me was that experience in the bathroom, just being completely disoriented. And as you put it, I
Hmm.
think you're really right. There's an existential moment because that can open up one towards authenticity. If one just goes through life, da da da, going through, but to actually face it, it is painful. The
Very
reality
painful.
is painful, and it just
Hmm.
opens you up. But that gives you the potential. It gives you the potential for authenticity. And then the way following that, the way it worked for me was the idea of, I think they call it nostros, looking
Hmm.
for home that may not be there. So there's all these things going on at once: finding oneself, looking at one's past, but it's a painful process. And then there's such joy afterwards, understanding. With authenticity comes and understanding comes joy.
Yeah. So actually, I was working on this paper. It was
Tell me.
from existentialism to spiritualism. So I took upon Albert Camus and Paramahansa Yogananda on the other side,
Uh
like
huh.
both of them. So my thesis was that Albert Camus is on the verge of, he's the verge of starting his journey,
Yeah.
while Paramahansa Yogananda, the author of Autobiography of a Yogi, maybe you've heard about it, I
Right.
don't
Oh
know.
yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So he is, he's at the culmination of the journey. So you cannot really separate them. The way you
That's
said
good. Yeah.
that you had that disorientation, that lost feeling of being lost, and everything shattering away. So painful. So that
Yeah.
pain ultimately turns into happiness, not pleasure, but happiness.
Happiness. That's very
So
good.
So that is the, I think, whole crux of all the human dilemma that we have, that at one point we are completely nowhere, and at the other, not outside but within ourselves, we find something. Like Camus likes to say that there is an absolute which the rebel himself is not aware of what it is. So we are not aware of what is inside us, but we
Uh,
come to protect it. This is me. We just know that
mm,
this is me. What, we don't know,
that's very good.
but we do
I
come
like it.
to. So what essence did you find in yourself in that way? What was that essence that you wanted to protect at that time?
Oh,
Or
very
you
good.
were that vulnerable self of yours, which you, what was that?
So that's really, thank you. So first of all, for bringing up Camus, um, all right, so a couple parts. Let me do Camus and then the sense of self. The Camus part. So one thing he talked about was the idea of melodrama versus tragedy, and he's talked
Yeah.
about melodrama being those are the bad guys and here are the good guys, and it's a real the
Hmm.
whole a lot of our cultures, movies, TV,
Yes.
good guys, bad guys, as opposed to the
Exactly.
notion of there's something good in them and there's something bad in them. There's something good in me and there's something bad in me. And then that is the concept of tragedy. He pulled that from Faulkner to some extent. But that's the idea
Hmm.
of tragedy. There is good and bad
Yeah.
in all of us.
Yes.
Um, so then I think psychologically, and following your question, I moved from this experience of through the oh, this is very good, thank you. Through the process of the book, I moved from melodrama to a deeper understanding. The actual writing of the book, day after
Beautiful.
day, sorting it out. I was sorting out stuff in myself so that my father was not a bad man by his denial. I'm not a
Yeah.
good man by trying to find. I'm bad, he's good. And
Exactly.
and then the book had to do with going through Greek history. I
Hmm.
mean, the owns the character's story, but also all of Greek history, going back to Manoah Gnosis in 17 BC, 1700 BC, to my grandfather's immigration from Greece to the United States. So there's little vignettes all the way through, and each one there's tragedy and there's humor and there's love. So, for example, Turkey
Hmm.
controlled Greece for 400 years. Lots of tragedy, but also some beautiful things and love. So, the actual writing of the book gave me that. I couldn't have walked away from that church
Hmm.
with a deeper understanding without taking the emotional time, the
Yes.
philosophical time to try and understand all of this. And then that changes me to understand, like you say, but with Camus, we're all good and bad. And out of that can come wisdom, which is
Exactly.
an
That's
ongoing
right.
quest. Um, some it changed me. That was
Yeah,
good
it does change for good, right?
for good, and it's a process. That's
It's a process
ongoing process every day,
till the last breath. And even after we are dead, they'll be
and then
dissecting our thought, words, and everything,
yeah.
and creating something different from us. So, with that, it was really nice chatting with you.
Hmm.
And it was a beautiful conversation. Thank you for your words of wisdom. And one final word for our audience. What would you like to tell them? Like,
Oh,
what would be your message?
that's beautiful. So first of all, thank you so much. You brought out so much in me. Thank you so much for that. That was a
You.
gift. Um, don't give up. Don't ever give
Hmm,
up. That's the message.
beautiful.
Don't ever give up. It's there. Stay with it. Don't ever give up.
Stay with it. Yes, that's right. Thank you so much.
Thank
So,
you so much for this.
thank you. And have a wonderful week, wonderful rest of your week. Always when I'm lost in my conversation, I start to hodgepodge, make the words hodgepodge. So please have a wonderful week and enjoy yourself. And see you next week at the same time,